Alright, so I want to make this video about, so I got a comment on this post that I made. And this dude was basically, the post was about how I've been smoking cannabis ever since I was like 15 years old. And I'm 32 right now. And I do not recommend people do that, okay? So if you're a teen, I do not recommend you do that. All I'm saying is I've been smoking cannabis since I was 15. I'm 32. People say cannabis makes you stupid. They say it makes you lazy. They say it makes you less intelligent or all this stuff. And I'm never trying to be rude. But like the people that say cannabis makes you stupid most likely would have been less intelligent with or without the cannabis. Like I think we give too much credit to molecules. Because like, yes, I'm the psychedelic guy, but I'm the guy that's like, yeah, psychedelics work because I understood they were never supposed to put the work in I was, right? So let me rewind, okay? When I was 15, I started smoking weed every day. And every day, okay? All day, every day. Sometimes 15 blunts a day type shit. I had a studio, I used to record people's music, so I was like a music producer, music engineer, recorded people's songs, mastered them for them, and did this thing. Sometimes they paid me in money, sometimes they paid me in weed, sometimes whatever, but that was just my thing. So I was doing that up until I was 19, okay? And I was smoking weed every day. And people would say that I was lazy, but this is the funny thing where I get what people mean, but it's complex. Because when people will say cannabis makes you lazy, if on paper, from 15 to 19, I might have looked kind of lazy. But I taught myself how to produce songs, how to mix and master music, how to mix and master audio, and I became really good at it, right? I built this thing myself. I don't know how to explain it, but I was rapping as well at the time, teaching myself how to rap and sing and do my thing, but I wasn't productive in the way some humans would have preferred me to be, right? And they can blame the cannabis, or you can just simply come back to reality and be like, no, that was just me regardless. It wasn't the weed. The weed might amplify who you are or what is. Just money doesn't make you evil. That's where my argument comes from when people say cannabis makes you lazy or makes you less intelligent, or is that, does money make you evil? If the answer is no, then cannabis does not make you stupid and it does not make you lazy. It reveals you. Just like money. Just like any thing, any molecule, any drug, because right now, it's 3:20 in the afternoon. I done already ingested 2 edibles that were 300 milligrams, okay? And I specifically picked the cannabinoids that I want to ingest because it's the 21st century, right? So when I was 15, from 15 until 15 to from 15 to 27, realistically, 27, 28, I was smoking just regular cannabis and dabbing regular cannabis extract, but most of the cannabis extract I dabbed from that time was directly extracted from cannabis flower. From 28 up until now that I'm 32, that's when I was able to start buying different individual molecules from the cannabis plant, because cannabis is a plant and it contains hundreds of cannabinoids. so many people just think it just contains THC and CBD. But it's like, that's 2 molecules out of 100 or more. And I've been able to try a lot of them individually. So then I was able to choose which molecules I prefer, and now I smoke the molecules that I prefer. And during my journey of smoking individual cannabinoids out of the cannabis flower itself, right, cannabis isolates, I was able to see that some cannabinoids give energy, some cannabinoids give you extreme relaxation to the point where you almost fall asleep. Some cannabinoids give energy with mental focus. Some cannabinoids give energy with mental fog. Some cannabinoids give a head high. Some cannabinoids give a body high. And some cannabinoids give both at the same time. Right? Some cannabinoids are relaxing with a mental clarity. And some cannabinoids are relaxing with a mental fog. And what I've come to find out is I prefer the cannabinoids that give a mental clarity, which is why I can say I done took 600 milligrams of cannabinoids today, plus dabbing, but yet I'm still making this video, and I'm very mentally clear. But that's because I've been able to try which ones out and which ones I like, which ones I don't like, and yada, yada, yada. And it's this thing where it's like, I just think so many people misunderstand plants and molecules and drugs because we've been demonizing these things for so long that we put so much pressure on them instead of putting the pressure back on us, saying, no, cannabis didn't make me lazy. I was dumb. Not the cannabis. Because as I was smoking regular cannabis, I didn't have the ability to choose the mental clarity part. So therefore, I had the ability to choose when I smoke. So I still smoked all day. But as I was in the beginning, first learning about DMT and ayahuasca and psychedelics and molecules and how drugs work on the brain receptors and the drug pharmacopoeia and this whole thing, right? As I was learning all that, I made conscious decisions. So I would consciously say, I'm gonna smoke a little bit of weed throughout the day as I'm learning and growing and as I'm learning something new. But then I'm gonna get really, really, really high tonight after I've learned something new as a reward. So I would reward myself with the ability to get extremely high after I've learned something new, after I've put in the work. Like, that's how I was able to get in shape. Now that I'm able to pick and choose which cannabinoids I want to smoke, like, I was just on this jog. That's how I'm up here. I was on this jog up here. Like, I was just jogging up the hill. Found this spot real quick. So I'm like, might as well make a video here. But like, I just think people gotta start taking personal responsibility for their own mind and personal responsibility for how they do shit. Like, because like, I'm kind of getting sick of people blaming cannabis for their lack of, and I hate to be rude, but it's like for their lack of intelligence. Like, I don't know. Because I do not think cannabis affects the mind in a negative way, the way people think, because I've been smoking it every day. And I'm 32 years old, so like, I do not understand what people mean, besides that when I smoke a lot of weed, normal weed, it can cause that mental fog, because I can't choose to only smoke the molecules that cause mental clarity. So therefore, I'm not going to smoke a lot of regular cannabis flower right before I want to start learning about a new molecule. Like, if I'm about to learn about a brand new molecule that I've never done before, I'm not just going to smoke a shit ton of weed I'm going to smoke a little bit of weed, and then I'm going to learn. And then I'm going to smoke a lot of weed when I'm done learning. Like, but I'm still smoking it throughout the day, you know? I was working at this pizza place for 4 years, right? And like, I would smoke DMT before work, get high all the time, to the point where like, I remember when I went to work once sober, these people thought I was on cocaine, when I've never even done cocaine, right? I've never done cocaine, never done meth, never done Adderall, right? Because I'm conscious about the drugs I do want to use and why I'm using them, which is why I do not suggest people just smoke weed like I do. Like, it's never... What's funny is I feel like a lot of people put disclaimers on their videos just to save their own ass. Where when I make a disclaimer, it's a real disclaimer. It's some real shit that you are not me. So therefore, I do not recommend someone smoke weed from 15 up until whatever, unless, like, unless they understand who the fuck they are. Like, I don't think, because you know how many people have been like, you know, why don't you just take a break from weed? I'm like, bro, because I've never even, I have taken my breaks. I'm not you. And it's this funny thing where it's like, I'm more motivated than anyone who is sober. I guarantee my mind is more philosophically intelligent than anyone who is sober. And that's not on some arrogant shit or some whatever, but it's just on some... I feel like people are on some arrogant shit when they're saying weed makes you stupid and lazy. That's fucking ignorant to say. Because... that's like saying psychedelics make you crazy. These are ignorant, blanket statements about substances that people do not understand. I am so fucking thirsty, bro. I should have brought a drink. That is something that doesn't change as I've been high dosing on cannabinoids today. Still got cotton mouth. But you know what I've noticed with some cannabinoids are a little trippy. So one of the cannabinoids that I'm on right now, and see, I don't like to name the cannabinoids anymore. And you can blame the fucking governments. You can blame... yeah, you can just blame people that always try to ban some dumb shit. Always try to, like, whatever. So I ain't saying shit no more. I could be on whatever the fuck. Like... because, like, they was talking about they might ban certain cannabinoids or whatever. And luckily, I'm in a state that, like, weed is legal. But, like... I think they just decriminalized weed, or like made it Schedule 3 or something like that, but it's a shitty thing where it's like some cannabinoids are a little more trippy, alright? So as I'm looking out, it looks a little trippy. Sometimes I feel like I'm in it a little bit, and like anyone who uses psychedelics like should understand the term of what I mean when I say in it. But like, that's why it's such a shitty thing with me, where it's like, when people start trying to ban cannabis, or ban THC, or ban all these, like, whatever, and I see some states are trying to ban some of these hemp derivatives, or like, whatever, that's such a bad idea, because, like, it's only gonna hurt other people, like, because people like me, right? I don't give a shit if the molecule is synthetic or natural, as long as it attaches to the receptor in a similar way. So because I understand the way the cannabinoids that I'm taking and how they attach to the cannabinoid receptors and what makes the differences, like if a cannabinoid attaches to the CB1 receptor more then it attaches to the CB2 receptor, it'll have a different effect, and vice versa, right? And once you understand this and you're like, oh, it's a partial agonist on that receptor and yada yada, then you can be like, okay, you can find a synthetic cannabinoid that is almost working on the same receptors almost identically, right? Which then it should have a very similar effect. Obviously slightly different, but I don't really give a shit, because I'm not reliant on the molecule. I'm reliant on my own body chemistry, my own body's pharmacopoeia of how these molecules work on me. So like, I hope they keep all these things legal that I use, right? But I also know I have a list of probably hundreds of molecules, cannabinoids and things that, like, just in case they try to make some shit illegal. You know, like, because I've gotten a list of, like, I've gotten to understand which ones are safe, which ones are not. Because when, you know, like, synthetic cannabinoids came on the thing and they kind of scared people because people found out, oh wow, there's some cannabinoids that you can actually get addicted to, some that actually have withdrawal, yada yada. And I've discovered that myself as well. Within cannabis, there might be some cannabinoids that have a slight withdrawal, like a slight physical withdrawal. But only when taken in high doses. Like, when I'll be taking like 100 plus milligrams in an edible multiple times in a day of a certain cannabinoid, I slightly feel a little off the next day, bodily wise. A little cold chills, sweaty, like cold sweats. But just for 2 days, right? But like, and it's shitty because, like, I would love to tell you what cannabinoid, but because of the modern world, I ain't saying shit, because I'm not risking my favorite shit getting banned. You know, like, it's one of those things. And it's so shitty that we're in this predicament where I have things that obviously work for me. Because, like, I've obviously grown, evolved, became the man I am, right? And, like, obviously I know what I'm doing. Because, like, when people say cannabis makes you stupid, well, if I'm highly intelligent and I've been smoking it since I was 15, like, then that statement needs to be analyzed. Why do people think cannabis makes people stupid? It's because of a stereotype. But I really don't know where to go with this, because, like, I really wasn't going to make a video about this, but I just had that dude talk about it and, like, or just asked me to kind of, like, elaborate. I just think it's lack of education before you use cannabis and why you're using it. And, like, a lot of people use drugs to escape. I've always been using these things as tools. So, like, I know what I've been doing. Like, I'm a real shaman. So I know what I'm doing with what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And it's just who I am. So, like, it's the idea that Wiz Khalifa or Snoop Dogg, they smoke weed. They don't fucking think about not smoking weed. Like, it's who the fuck they are. Like, I don't know how to explain it. But, like, oh shit, I'm about to get knocked out by a plant. But it's just that thing. That, like, I don't trip to trip, right? I'm a shaman. This is who I am. Like, I've been smoking since I was 15. This is just who I am. Now I can not smoke because I've been sober I enjoy being sober. That's the funny thing. I enjoy being sober just as much as I enjoy being fucking high. Just as much as I enjoy tripping. Just as much as I enjoy, I don't know. I enjoy the sunset just as much as I enjoy the sunrise. It's that thing. Do you enjoy being sober just as much as you enjoy being high? Because I feel like that's the reason why people say weed makes you lazy. It's because if you don't enjoy the normal life, you're going to get lost in the high and never want to come down, which is fine if you enjoy life. Like, if you can still live life, be in life, because we're human beings, right? Which is why I say, yeah, I trip all the time. Or used to. Maybe I still do. Who knows, right? But